Have you ever been in a situation where you know you need to speak English, but the words just won't come out? When someone asks you a question and your brain just freezes. You know the words, you've seen them, you've read them 100 times, and they're somewhere right here in your brain, but when you actually need to speak, nothing happens. This is one of the most frustrating experiences for English learners. Here's the thing, the problem isn't that you don't know enough English, it's that you haven't trained your brain to produce what you know. And today I'm going to show you exactly why this happens and how I'm fixing it for myself. When you read or listen to English, your brain just has to recognize things. You match sounds or words to meanings you already know. It's relatively passive. You have time to think, but speaking is completely different. You're under pressure. You are shy. You're meeting this new person. Your brain has to simultaneously pull the right words from the memory, convert those words into actual speech sounds, coordinate your tongue, lips, breathing. You listen to yourself, all under social pressure as well. This is why you might feel fluent in your head and then you freeze when you're actually speaking. Your inner voice doesn't have to deal with the physical part of the time pressure or real conversation. So let's dive into the topic. Most English learners spend 90% of their time on input, watching videos, reading, listening to podcasts, and only 10% on output. Without regular speaking practice, words stay in your passive storage. Yes, you recognize them, but you can't use them automatically. And you might have trouble even pronouncing them. Think of it like this. Watching cooking shows for years doesn't make you a chef. You need to actually cook. Studies show that when you try to speak, 3 things happen that don't happen when you listen. You suddenly notice the words you don't know. You test your theories about how English works. You're forced to think consciously about structure. But there is more going on. Have you ever experienced knowing a word exists but being unable to recall it mid-conversation? It happens because words you rarely use have weak pathways in your brain. Similar words compete and block each other. Stress literally impairs your memory access. Less common words are just harder to retrieve. And then there is the psychological part. Fear of making mistakes is the #1 anxiety trigger for English learners. Research shows that anxious learners set impossibly high standards, worry about others' opinions, and prefer to stay silent rather than risk being wrong. This creates a cycle. Fear prevents practice, lack of practice prevents improvement, and that reinforces the fear. Another thing is that many learners also think in their native language first and then translate, but translation slows your brain and doubles the cognitive effort. Native-like fluency means connecting English words directly to meanings and images, not routing through your first language, and it takes time, but it's gonna happen to you, believe me. And the last piece, fluent speakers don't think about grammar rules or word choice. Their speech is automatic. This happens through repetition that moves knowledge from unconscious effort to unconscious habit. And there is this problem with our traditional study methods. Grammar drills, vocabulary lists, they do not create that kind of repetition. So now that we understand the problems, let's talk about the solutions. Not the generic practice more advice. There are techniques backed by research that actually work. Now, solution #1 is to learn to paraphrase. Here's something most English learners never think about, but native speakers do it constantly. When you forget a word, you paraphrase. You don't panic, you don't go silent. You say the same thing differently. And this is actually a trainable skill. Paraphrasing forces your brain to think flexibly in English, not just retrieve one specific word. Instead of being stuck on, oh my God, I forgot the word for X, you learn to say, you know, that thing where, or it's like when. This flexibility is what separates fluent speakers from learners who freeze mid-sentence. Here's how to practice it. Take any sentence or concept and force yourself to explain it using completely different vocabulary. Can't remember procrastinate? Say putting things off until later. Can't find the word for concept? Describe what it does. Give an example. Break it down into smaller ideas. Your brain learns that there are infinite ways to express the same thing, and that's the real secret to fluency. To help you practice this skill, we created a brand new feature in the Lingua Native app dedicated to paraphrasing and concept explanation. This new part gives you tricky sentences and words and challenges you to paraphrase them using completely different vocabulary, or explain a word without naming it directly. Now, you can either write your answers or speak them out loud. Both help with active vocabulary usage. But since you clicked on this video because speaking is the challenge, I really recommend you practice by speaking. And the more you practice, the faster you'll bounce back when you forget something. And it's one of the fastest ways to get unstuck in real conversations. And the coolest part is, we built this entire feature in just a couple of hours using Replit. If you haven't heard of Replit, it's a platform where you can create fully working apps and websites just describing your idea in plain English to your phone or computer, no coding background needed. Everything you need, from hosting to secure collaboration, is built in. Plus, their connectors ecosystem means you can instantly plug in the tools you already use, like Notion, Slack, or Google Drive, without tricky setup or extra accounts. They've also launched AI integrations so you can use advanced models like OpenAI, Gemini, and Anthropic right inside your workspace. Zero configuration needed. Just open Replit and start building. And yes, there's even a mobile app for Apple and Android, so whether you're on your laptop or phone, you can build or update your projects anywhere. So if you've ever had an idea for a study tool, project tracker, or even something you want to sell, check out Replit using the link in the description. And if you buy Replit Core through my referral, you'll get $10 in Replit credits to experiment and start building right away. The links to Replit and the Lingua Native app are in the description. Now let's move on to the next solution that can help you speak English naturally and easily. Solution number 2 is the most powerful technique you might not be using yet, and it's called shadowing. Shadowing is simple but incredibly powerful. You listen to authentic English audio and repeat it immediately, speaking simultaneously or with a 1 to 2 second delay, matching the speaker's speed, rhythm, and intonation. Unlike traditional repetition where you wait for a complete sentence to finish, shadowing forces you to process and produce language in real time at natural speaking speed. I call this the monkey method, so you're basically mimicking whoever you want to mimic. Research shows this activates the exact same brain regions used in actual conversation. Let's practice shadowing right now. I'm gonna say a few sentences and I want you to repeat them out loud immediately after me. Don't worry about perfection, just focus on matching my rhythm and intonation. Ready? Every time I practice, I'm getting better. I am not afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes don't mean failure, they mean I'm learning. I have everything I need to become fluent. How did that feel? Even just 30 seconds of shadowing starts building those natural pathways. Now imagine doing this for 10 to 15 minutes every day. Just a couple of things to keep in mind. Start with content that's at or slightly below your level. Don't make it too hard at first. Choose audio with an accent you actually like listening to. Read the transcript once so you understand what's being said, then play the audio and speak along at the same time. Focus on matching the rhythm and intonation, not on being perfect. And as you get more comfortable, gradually increase the speed and difficulty. I have several videos you can use for shadowing practice. I will leave all the links below in the description box. And now let's move on to solution number 3. It's called mental rehearsal. This is actually what a lot of athletes do. This might sound unusual, but research shows that mentally rehearsing, vividly visualizing yourself speaking before actual conversation, activates the same brain regions as physical practice. Athletes like Michael Jordan have used visualizations for decades. Now, neuroscience confirms this works for language learning too. When you imagine yourself speaking English, neurons fire in your motor cortex and speech areas, creating pathways that support actual performance. So here's how you practice. You find a quiet space and close your eyes. You visualize a specific speaking scenario in detail. What's the location? Who is around you? Imagine yourself speaking confidently and fluently, and include sensory details. Hear your voice, see facial expressions. If you stumble on a phrase, rewind and practice until it flows, and practice 5 to 10 minutes before real situation. This mental rehearsal also works best when combined with actual speaking practice. They reinforce each other. Solution number 4, learn chunks, not just words. Here's what fluent speakers do differently. They don't build sentences word by word. They use pre-assembled chunks, multi-word phrases stored and retrieved as single units. Phrases like, as a matter of fact, by the way, and on the other hand, are processed as complete units in the brain, and you learn them like that. This is why native speakers can talk so fast. They're retrieving ready-made phrases, not constructing sentences from scratch. Studies show that learners who focus on chunks are judged more fluent and their speech sounds more natural. Learning 100 to 200 high-frequency chunks can dramatically improve your fluency because these building blocks recur constantly in a conversation. Here are some high-frequency chunks you can start using in your daily conversations right now. I was wondering if, for polite requests, to be honest, when sharing your opinion, it depends on, when answering conditional questions, that reminds me of, from making connections, I'm not sure, but when you're uncertain, by the way, for changing topics. As far as I know, when sharing information, it turns out that when revealing results. Solution number 5, self-talk, your personal speaking lab. Self-talk means talking to yourself out loud in English throughout your day. I do it all the time. Research shows it's one of the most effective techniques for building fluency. Here's this amazing benefit. Zero pressure. No one judges your mistakes because you're talking to yourself. You can practice anytime, anywhere. You immediately identify vocabulary gaps. If you're explaining to yourself what you're doing in English and you're like, oh, what is this? A microphone. What is this? A microphone stand. And here's some practical self-talk strategies. Narrate your day. I am recording this podcast right now. I need to remember to erase the files from my SD card later. Have debates with yourself. Argue both sides. Prepare for situations like rehearse ordering food, appointments, presentations. Retell stories. Summarize movies, books, or news. Ask yourself questions. What do I need to do today? How am I feeling? Did I forget about my workout? Start simple with short sentences. As you get comfortable, increase complexity. The goal isn't perfection. It's frequent, low-pressure practice that builds confidence. Solution number 6, please embrace your mistakes. This is this perfectionism trap. I feel like a lot of us are perfectionists here. So perfectionism is actually one of the most destructive forces in language learning. Research consistently shows that perfectionist learners experience higher anxiety, yes, practice less, and as a result, achieve lower fluency than learners who embrace mistakes and who don't care. Here's the mindset shift that you need from someone who's constantly criticized for her mistakes. Mistakes are data, not failures. Communication matters more than perfect grammar. What you say matters more versus how you say it. Progress over perfection. Celebrate improvement. I didn't sound like this 10 years ago when I arrived here. You must speak imperfectly to eventually speak well. It's a phase. We'll get through it. Native speakers make mistakes too. They pause, they correct themselves, they search for words. Here are some practical strategies. Set process goals. Speak 5 minutes daily, not outcome goals. Speak perfectly. Practice in low-stakes environments first. Self-talk, apps, supportive partners. Record yourself and focus on what you did well. And again, remember, listeners care about you and your message, not your grammar. View each speaking opportunity as practice, not as test. Learners who adopt a growth mindset and accept mistakes progress significantly faster than perfectionists. So I decided to put all of this together into a 30-day action plan. It's very practical and easy to follow. So week 1-2, you build foundation. Use LinguaNative app for paraphrasing practice, 5 minutes daily. Then start shadowing, 5 minutes daily, that's it, with easy content. Maybe shorts on YouTube, I don't know, whatever you prefer. Practice self-talk narrating activities for 5 minutes. Learn 5 high-frequency chunks per day. Week 3-4, increase intensity. So you continue using the LinguaNative app and shadowing with harder content for 15 minutes a day. Add this speaking rehearsal thing for 5 minutes a day, then self-talk with more complex topics for 10 minutes. Think in English for dedicated periods. Tell yourself like, hey, for the next 30 minutes, I'm gonna think in English, and you do it every single day. And practice one full conversation per week. Maybe with an AI app, maybe with just yourself. So there you have it. All the reasons and all the solutions. The only question is, will you start today or not?
We're wishing you a great day with Kiwi. Yes, Kiwi. Please subscribe to this channel to see more of me. Bye-bye.